All right, so I finished my Magnacut knife, and I'm gonna do some testing and stuff like that. I'll wear it for a month at work, just see if I actually like it. Not just the steel itself, but the actual design, because this is the first time, like this design I made up, first time using it. But just to start it off, stats wise, it's an 8-inch blade. It's 2 inches wide. The Magnacut was professionally heat treated to 62 to 63 Rockwell hardness. I chose that because I thought it's a good point for a fixed blade that's gonna have some amount of impacts to it. You know, like just because it is a fixed blade, I'm gonna not chop with it exactly, but just normal size branches and stuff like that. Nothing crazy. There is like folding knives that are like up to like 64. I've heard of some at 65, which it sounds kind of weird for Magnacut. But yeah, I think that's a fine point, a fine area to be at. Besides that, the handle is about 4.5 inches. It's more like 4 3/4 because if you include like because of the curvature. And the scales are G10, so it's like ivory G10 and then just red pins. The pins themselves are G10 also. So the only ones that are that go through the tang are these guys and these two, the smaller ones, but not the big one. So the big one I thought was too big to actually put through the tang. I don't like that many holes in the tang, so I just put it through the scale instead. There's a few things I've done differently on this knife. One of them being the edge. And usually what I do when I get a knife back from heat treatment is I'll bring down the edge to an apex by hand, just using my stones. And the reason I do that is because I'm just paranoid with like overheating the blade, just having it basically like messing up the heat treatment, fatiguing the edge, or burning the tip. Basically, these are some of the problems you can get. So this time, I did decide to use the machine, and the reason for that is because this is a full convex. And I wanted to bring the convex all the way down to the edge. And so what I decided to do is I used the machine to about this point here, and then from here up, I used my stones and just did the edge by hand. The reason I did that was because all those problems I mentioned are like more prevalent here. I can get by just like grinding all this and it's fine. Just because there's so much of a heat sink, so much material. From here on up, I decided just to use my stones. So that's one of the differences. It came out fine. This is going to be a tip oriented design, so it's going to be a lot of hitting with the tip, and I think there's enough material. It gives me a little bit more material for strength here just by doing it by hand instead of having it ground down to an apex all the way. There's a bit of a second bevel here. One of the things that did, like design wise, that came back to bite me, and something I haven't done before is, well, I've done G10 pins before, but as you can see here, the little black circle, and there's there too. It's a little bit worse on this side. See that? So I really don't know how I got that like so bad. So I have to look over everything I did. I have to like measure the diameter of the pins, and then I'm gonna have to like see what I use to clamp this thing down and see if it's as steady as I thought it was. But that's something for like the future. But yeah. So this thing, and this is one of the problems. This is like two holes in one that overlap, and I had to reground one of these. I did a video on some of that, but I haven't put it up because it's kind of boring. But I don't know, if somebody wants the video, just let me know and I'll put it up, I guess. But yeah, design wise, so this is kind of like a chili pepper handle, and now what I did was I was going to round this out on the end, but I decided just to keep it like that flat. So the way I do handles is I'll work on them and then I'll handle them and then work on them and handle them. So while I'm like taking material away, stuff like that, I'll have a feel for it, swing it around a little bit, and see if I like it or not. I got to this point, and so this was supposed to be domed, and I decided to just keep it that way just because it felt fine. If I made this any smaller, I think it wouldn't be as it wouldn't hold my hand in place as much as this one does. So I left it there. Here I decided to just a very, very like thin taper there, because I do want my pinky to have just a place to not to kind of like a pinch grip there, so it doesn't slide easily. And then I can have another little pinch grip here, and then this adds to just holding the belly, adds to just having my hand in place. One other thing I did, this is the last thing that I did differently, was the engraving. So normally I engrave my knives once I'm done shaping them and before I send them out to get heat treated. I decided just to try it out on this one after I get it back from heat treatment. The thing the engraver I use is like this little tattoo gun kind of thing that basically pokes holes in, and that's how you get your numbers and all that. So I wasn't sure how well it was going to engrave something after I got it back from heat treatment, and it did okay, I think. It's okay, basically. And I did the engraving after I sharpened the knife. And the reason I decided to try it this way is because, so a knife is considered live when it has an edge, and it just made sense to me to give it its date of birth after I gave it an edge. So I don't know, but yeah, design wise, and this is what I'm gonna test later on, and I'll put a video on one test at the end of this video. So this is supposed to be very tip oriented. So the way I hold this, normally when you have a knife and you want to use the tip of the knife instead of its belly, you use a saber grip, and then you have your hand forward a little bit more, your knife a little bit more forward. But this one, you can have a regular, see it's a little bit up more, but you're still using the tip. So you have a little bit more of you have a normal grip, but you still have the use of this tip still. So that was the thought behind this design. There's another thought that goes into it too, besides not having my hand slip up just because of the design too. These two parts that hold my hand in place too. And I'll show, I guess, a video of that later on in a different time. Is a reverse grip, reverse ice pick grip. There's just because it goes forward a little bit more, it's tilted this way. It's easier to jab with this knife. So if you have it in an ice pick grip and you want to jab forward, it's easier to get the tip at target, just because you don't have to just crane your hand over as much, just because of the angle. So yeah. So in the end, I'm gonna compare two knives. One of them is oh dang, I forgot the name of it. But whatever. It's a fish belly knife that is like 1/2 inch. I'll just show it to you. All right. So I forgot the name of this knife. But for the test, I'm gonna hit a phone book with both these knives, and I'm going to just use a regular grip and just show you what happens. So I can mimic what this knife should do. I haven't tested it yet. By just using a saber grip and just going point first, but I'm gonna strike the phone book basically with this grip and show you. All right, just to show you, I'm gonna show you like the angle of the knife before I hit the phone book. So this is basically the strike, just holding it, just regular grip, and so let me show you that. And actually went pretty far. Dang. Wow, all the way to the back. Crazy. Okay. All right, here's the angle of the knife. Just holding regular grip. So I'm not like pushing it forward. It's just basically how it is. And yeah, I can just feel it to the end. Yep. So yeah, so wider cut. It's basically almost the same size. It's about this much smaller. So yeah, here's the difference. It's still crazy that it went through. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, is it worth it to design a knife specifically for that? I don't know. I just wanted to do something like that was point forward. All right. Oh, like always, if you have any questions or actually suggestions on, like, I don't know, how to drill holes, much appreciated.